Welcome.
Hi guys, my name's Andrew.
I'm Jake, and we have a podcast at last.
Yeah, after about 2 years of trying to make it happen.
Something like that.
We've called it Crossing Swords.
It's a hobby of ours.
Yeah, we enjoy doing that. But I think more than anything, we wanted to start a podcast that basically just gave us an excuse to talk shit a bit more, really.
The truth is, we're very full of ourselves. We like to think that we're very intelligent people, sitting in conversation, having fun, and we feel like more people should be involved in that.
Yeah, and we want you to have to sit and listen to our crap at the same time.
Yeah, we feel like you should definitely enjoy listening to us, not just endure it.
Impart our wisdoms.
It should be fun and educational.
So yeah, this is Crossing Swords. As of recording this last night, we had the results from the European elections recently. We didn't really want to jump straight into politics, but it's a bit difficult.
Especially with Brexit, it seemed a bit extreme, but unfortunately it is the news, and that's part of what we're going to do. We're going to look back at recent events, as well as do some more in-depth serious stuff. So we're going to look at some real serious issues like mental health, homelessness, substance abuse, all these things that we actually will delve into and actually devote a proper episode to. But generally it'll be about 20-30 minutes of us just talking shit from what's just gone,
and sharing experiences, what we think, and probably piss a few people off along the way.
Undoubtedly. What's the point of doing it if you can't?
No, exactly, fuck 'em.
So let's just dive right in with the elections. Brexit Party seemed to do pretty well.
Yeah, and people still like Farage, which I don't understand personally.
And it's shown that people aren't necessarily xenophobic pieces of shit. That they're not just voting for UKIP because they believe in their policies, that they were voting for Farage.
Yeah, which I find equally as disturbing, but not as disturbing,
possibly more
disturbing. That they're not even voting for an idea, they're voting for a tosspot, really.
Yeah, but I think everyone got really upset over it because the Brexit Party seems to do really well, took about a third of the votes.
Yeah.
But actually, when we actually look at it, it's not as bad as
No, it's not done as well as everyone expected.
All of the Brexiteers voted Brexit Party.
Yeah.
The Remainers split their votes.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of hope. It's about a third. A third of people want to leave, a third of people want to stay, and a third of people just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, a brief look at the stats show that the Remain parties, including the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party, got 40.4% of the votes. Hard Brexit parties like the Brexit Party got 34.9% of the votes, and the Conservatives and Labour got 23.2% of the vote. So, in theory, Remain is still in the lead, but it's
I think
still
the one thing we can categorically say is this was a massive middle finger to the two main parties.
Yeah. As we've said before, it's frightening how bad politics is at the moment, particularly with people like Theresa May in charge, who, thank God, is leaving, but no one who's going to step into her place is going to be any better.
No, there's not a single person amongst the contenders that fills me with anything other than dread.
No, you've got Boris, who just, the less said about him, the better, really. You've got Gove, you've got Dominic Raab, and a host of other completely useless
all of
Conservatives.
whom, by the way, have held cabinet positions and been utterly incompetent in them.
Dominic Raab was the Secretary of State for Brexit, but yet had no idea about the actual facts and issues that faced us when it came to Brexit, like the backstop.
Yeah, Michael Gove has seen education take a complete tumble.
Yeah.
And Boris Johnson, I don't know how
has he done anything good?
How we let him go out and represent us on an international stage, I don't know.
God knows.
Maybe it was just sort of like sending a cartoon mascot. We didn't even
We live in a world where one of the most, if not the most powerful country on the planet is represented by Donald Trump. So
essentially an orange in a wig.
Yeah. So I suppose we can't be too judgmental, really.
But yeah, we can. I think that's our job.
Well, we can be, but it is what it is.
No, it's a worrying state. It's a very worrying state, and Corbyn is even worse than May.
Yeah, literally, you could have had anyone in charge of Labour other than Corbyn, and you'd probably have a Labour government.
You could have actually put a wig on an orange, and it probably would have taken power.
Yeah, probably.
It's genuinely worrying.
I started off liking Corbyn, but to be honest, he's shown he's so inept and incapable.
He's just so irritating.
Getting it done.
Fed up. All the time, like everything you ask him to do, like ask him to do his job is going out of his way.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to oppose this one?
He just about gets dressed in the morning.
It's obsessed with his little garden patch. That's where he wants to be, growing marrows.
Well, do you know what? He's getting older, mate. He deserves a bit of time.
He is getting older.
You know, he deserves a bit of quiet time and time at his allotment.
He's been around a long time, and a lot of that time he's been very anti-EU.
Which you wouldn't have thought so of his current stance, considering the fact he's trying.
There's an anti-EU MP who's headlining a Remain campaign.
Yeah.
It's a really hard one to support.
Yeah.
And the Remain campaign didn't really campaign either, not to get too far back onto Brexit. They kind of just thought, well, no one's going to go for it.
Well, I think the overarching issue is all MPs have not been honest enough. No MP's willing to stick their neck out on the line and risk losing their seat, because if they were really honest, they probably would. Because most people who live in constituencies that are undereducated and that don't keep in touch with politics will just fall for the narrative that's out there from the media and from people like Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson, that we're the amazing Britain and no matter what happens, the media will be fine.
And I whether we do or not, but it's very much my intention to do a full episode on the media. But the media have an even worse problem with that, where they don't want to tell you the truth or report facts, which is what they're there to do. They want to sell papers. They want to get clicks on their websites, and the way to do that is by writing whatever fear-mongering stuff is driving the people at the moment.
And it's too easy to blame people from other countries that come to live here for being the issue with education and the NHS. And
way too easy.
If you can tell someone that, I don't know, Ramona from Spain, or I don't know, Pavel from the Middle East is the reason you can't get a job, or your child can't get a job, or you have to wait 5 hours to be seen at A&E, or you can't get an appointment to see your GP, eventually it starts sinking in.
The irony of the NHS thing as well is that, I don't know about you, but
we're
I've been
propped up by foreign nurses and doctors.
I've been to 2 hospitals in the last couple of years, and I haven't seen a single English doctor.
No, I mean, my dad was in hospital for several years, and I think once he had a white doctor that was English, and that wasn't a problem for me. So I didn't mind that he wasn't being seen by white doctors.
The doctors that I saw were fantastic, and they did it all for free. I mean, they didn't do it for free; they got paid.
Well, they get paid, but we didn't have to pay for it.
And it's why you would ever think that that's a bad thing. And also, health is a basic human right.
Yeah.
If we can offer healthcare to people, regardless of where they're from, it is our moral obligation to do so.
100%. And it should be the same. We would feel that way if we went to other countries, so why do we not expect the same when people come here?
Absolutely. You don't want to be faced with the decision of having to remortgage your house or leave.
Well, is that the amount of people that I think more people go bankrupt in America due to having to pay for healthcare than anything else?
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. Getting an ambulance called and having to turn them away because you can't afford it.
I haven't got my insurance card.
Yeah, and it's a really sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing Donald Trump did when he took over in America was he started tearing apart Obamacare, didn't he?
Yeah, and then it's, like I said, it's a basic human right. And then you've got the media telling you that it's being abused by all these foreigners. Couldn't be further from the truth.
I mean, the thing, going back to Brexit, I think the point that's on my mind the most is it didn't take much for me to discover how impossible Brexit is. I mean, initially I voted to leave, and I regret it deeply because I read somewhere that it would get rid of David Cameron and George Osborne, and somehow in my head I thought
understandable. George Osborne's one of the most smackable politicians I've ever seen.
Reprehensible through and through.
For sure.
And I genuinely thought, oh, that's fine, if they're gone it will start changing. No, it just stays the same because it's the same party. But you find out now that it is impossible to deliver Brexit without pulling apart the UK as a whole, because the way Theresa's deal worked was that essentially we would stay in the EU in all but name because of the Irish backstop. But the problem is, with or without a deal, that backstop has to stay in place until we can negotiate something different. The problem is neither Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland are willing to change the fact that there's no border between them.
No, we've spent a long time trying
to
reach a peaceful resolution.
Because of all of the hostilities they've had over the years, it would completely tear them apart to get rid of that, to have a hard border between them again. and especially as it's not something they've chosen to do, it's something we're trying to force on them. So they have to have a free border. Ireland's part of the EU, so it has to have free movement of peoples. Northern Ireland will no longer be part of the EU if they leave with us, so that means there has to be a hard border between the two, which goes against the Good Friday Agreement. If we enforce it on them, it'll probably end up with Northern Ireland wanting independence, which then leads to Scotland thinking, well, we didn't want to leave the EU, we voted
Absolutely.
in the majority to stay in the EU, so they're going to want independence, and then poor Wales are stuck with us.
They do get forgotten about Wales.
They do.
See, for me, Brexit, it comes down to there was two main things that when I spoke to people, and I say this as a Remainer, and I don't want to sound like a really pushy or arrogant
preachy
Romanian.
bastard.
Absolutely, I want to try and remain as impartial as I can, and be just look at it from a realistic point of view without being one side or the other. It came down to two things when I was talking to people. One is the obvious thing about border control, but the fact is, Brexit never guaranteed stricter borders, and equally, we didn't need Brexit to tighten our borders. That was actually well within our grasp, and the government had full rights to tighten the borders should they
and
wish.
never enforced it.
The second one it comes down to is the bureaucracy of it all, of the EU and the European Parliament. But I think what these people don't understand, okay, that sounds a bit preachy, but we live in a world where to have any kind of relationship on such a grand scale requires a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It just does. There's no option where we don't get bogged down in some form of bureaucracy.
And the thing is, it's been irrefutably proven over the last 2 years, if you only have to really go and look for real information, not just what you read in the Daily Mail or the Sun or a reprehensible newspaper
even any Remain.
Yeah, and you will see that there is nothing. We get far more out of the EU than we lose. We invest in supporting other smaller nations that have since tripled their contribution to us because of it. And there's nothing positive to gain from leaving the EU. It's been irrefutably proven. Now, look, if we leave, we leave. We have to deal with it, and whatever happens, happens. But the ironic thing will be, if we do leave and say we leave with no deal, we're going to end up having to open our doors even more to encourage people to come here to keep our economy going.
The fact is, if we
keep a workforce in this country, and that's the hilarious part, is we'll end up with even a wider open door than we have already.
If we, and not to sound too sort of xenophobic against Brits, but if we were to kick out all of all foreign nationals, let's get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
There are so many jobs that a majority of Brits would look at and say, that's beneath me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work those, I'm not going to work those hours for that money. And perhaps they're right to think that, but the truth is,
someone has to do it.
Someone has to,
Yeah.
or the economy does collapse without something too dramatic.
Well, if you got rid of, for example, all workers that have come from the African colonies and things like that, who the hell would run our NHS for us? I believe the vast majority of nurses in the NHS are African Caribbean of origin.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous to think that all of a sudden, if we did have all these jobs available and all these people were gone, that people born in this country
would step up
and
fill
the vacancies.
The opportunities for them to fill those vacancies are there.
Yeah.
They exist. If you're willing to put in the work
Yeah.
to go, okay, maybe it's medical school, or maybe it's just learning a trade, or getting out and doing, I don't know, the bins, or working in the sewage plants or something.
Yeah.
The opportunities are there for those jobs.
But people don't want to do it.
But people aren't doing it,
No.
and they're far happier to sit and complain about them being taken away from them.
Yeah.
But they're not being taken away from them. The opportunities aren't. And I'm not saying that sometimes, you are denied because you're British and therefore you're expected to work for a higher wage or something. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But to a large extent, it doesn't. And it certainly doesn't happen to the way that you believe it if you were to listen to people on the streets or the papers.
100%.
And it's worrying to think that those people are so convinced in themselves that they're going to be fine without a common
Well, I think that's probably enough of political Bible bashing
Quite. We've made you feel bad enough as it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're all fucked. Let's just put it that way.
We're all fucked.
Yeah.
There's no win situation.
No, I mean, we might as well just give over to the idea that Farage will be the dictator supreme of this country one day.
But the kind of dictator that you can have a pint with.
100%. I could have a pint of Guinness with that man.
I could have. I'm not sure about Guinness.
I don't even like Guinness. But he made me drink the Guinness.
It's a little too Irish for my liking.
He won't let the island.
No, but a good bottle of English Carling or Foster's.
Oh, what was
one of the Carlsberg, one of the really English ones.
What was the Bombardier?
Bombardier.
Bit of Bombardier.
Bombardier.
British and damn reliable.
That's it. I can have a pint of Bombardier with Nigel Farage.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, quite enough politics. Not much else has happened for us to discuss.
We could talk about football. We could talk about football.
We could talk about football.
Yeah, we're both Palace fans.
We are both Palace fans.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. Not much chance of us ever coming to you on the cup final day.
No.
Saying how proud we are.
No, I mean, the Premier League has been very interesting this season. I feel really sorry for Liverpool. I mean, to finish on what was it, 97
to lose only
points?
One game and to
not win the league.
Reach a tally that up until a couple of years ago was the highest tally ever, and lose is unbelievable. Whether you're, I know a lot of people hate Liverpool.
I know, and I think the accusations of bottling it is absolutely ridiculous as well.
They lost one game all season.
You don't get to 97 points and you've bottled the title race.
No.
That's not true.
Absolutely not. And the fact is, they lost their game a while ago.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. And to be fair, even Man City have lost a game to the mighty Palace. Yeah.
But football's gone a bit mad, I think, with the money.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And the power, I think, no longer lies with managers and clubs.
No, it doesn't.
It lies with the players.
Yeah, if a player wants to leave, you've got no choice most of the time.
If a player wants to walk into the team, you've got very little choice other than to let them.
Well, the thing is, because in most situations, I mean, Chelsea's the biggest example over the years, is that if a player doesn't like the manager, more often than not, the club's going to go with the player, especially if it's a star player, because they're the asset.
They've been the reason that Mourinho was kicked out. They were the reason that Conte was kicked out.
Probably
the reason that Sarri's going to be kicked out. Bear in mind, at this moment, he's
probably eventually, if Frank Lampard gets a job, it'll be the reason he goes.
I mean, at time of recording, Sarri is still Chelsea manager.
Yeah, and Frank Lampard still hasn't played the Championship playoff final as Derby manager.
But all of that will have changed by the time this goes up.
Very likely.
But no, I think the money in football is what's really bothered me over the years.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I mean, I can remember it wasn't that long ago that your club spent 12 million on a player and you thought, fuck, now we better deliver. He better deliver for 12 mil.
Yeah, now 30 million is 12, an average player.
12 mil wouldn't even get you a 40-year-old has-been. I mean, it really is shocking. And players are looking like, I'm a massive fan of Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
He's one of the best things to come to the club in a long time.
Yeah.
But the idea that Palace want 40 million for
it's
him
absurd.
Is ridiculous. He's had one season, and admittedly he's had one full season. It's a great full season, and he's played fantastically consistently all the way throughout. But he's not a 40 million pound player. That's just ridiculous.
The problem is the clubs are, I believe, mostly at fault for the way the prices have gone. It's when players like Pogba, Neymar, Ronaldo, Bale, when those players go for 100+ million, it inflates everything else, because a club of a player half as good as Neymar will go, I want half as much as Neymar went for, which isn't how it should work. Neymar is one of the biggest stars of football. I don't actually particularly like him, but if he sells for, what was it, 150 million?
I think it was about 180.
Yeah, it's you could buy 5 fucking football clubs for that sort of money.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's crazy.
You could. I think Newcastle have just been put on sale for £350 million.
Yeah,
so you could
he's
buy,
worth half
two. Two Neymars or a Newcastle.
Yeah,
and let's be honest, if you
buy 2 Neymars,
I was going to say, if you buy Newcastle the football club, you sort of buy the city.
Yeah,
they're really a football city.
Yeah,
so you could buy a city or 2 annoying little Brazilian wankers.
Yeah.
And you
but let's face it, he went to PSG for the project. He wants to win the Champions League with them.
He wants to, he's there.
It had nothing to do with the hundreds of thousands a week.
He's there for the football.
That's something that really bothers me with players, though. And they're like, I've come here for the project. No, you haven't.
Yeah.
A player coming to Man City now, I would believe them if they said, I've come here for what's going on at the club as well as
because
the money.
they're
But like when
some lofty
Aguero
shit.
joined and Robinho joined when the money first came in,
Yeah,
he's like, oh,
right.
I came here because I believe in the project. No, you didn't.
No, and when
You
they
came
come
in
and
because they were offering you
when they
£200
come, they
a
talk
week.
about City's such a great club. It's like they're playing in League Two a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about them.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
And this isn't
If
bashing
you tell me
City.
who Sean Goater is, I'll believe you.
I don't even know who Sean Goater is. No, but that's not even bashing City because clubs forever have been buying the league, and
Yeah.
but any time you buy a top scorer in the Premier League, you've won the league, you've bought the Premier League, in my opinion. When Sir Alex Ferguson, his last season in charge of United, when he won the league, he bought Van Persie, and that was what won it for him. So
Yeah.
as far as I'm-
Chelsea did it with Mourinho the first time
Yeah,
round.
you buy the league every
Blackburn
time.
did it when they won it
yeah, exactly. Like,
with Shearer and Sutton.
yeah,
I think the only ones who haven't bought the league,
it's Leicester.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Leicester,
but that was
their 3-star players. I think cost about 4 million altogether.
yeah. I
which is
mean, but if you look at
an anomaly
if
for
you
sure.
look at if you look back at that season, though, all the top teams were horrific.
No,
If
they
I
all
remember correctly,
stumbled.
was it Guardiola's first season at Man City?
No, I don't even think it. Oh, it might have been.
I think
It's
it was
a while
his
ago.
first
Everything changes in
season.
football.
Yeah, but no, it's mad.
It is mad. But there you go. Football covered.
Yeah,
For
football
now.
covered for now.
I think I'd very much like to do
Right.
a season look ahead
Yeah,
before the
100%.
start of the season. But we'll have to wait and see who buys who sells who, which clubs collapse,
Yeah.
which clubs do well, which Arab sheikhs buy.
There seems to be a lot of shakes about with money to throw.
Yeah, there's a lot of sheikhs. and
There's a lot of shakes.
I've not met one that's
English
interested in-
football brings all the shakes to the yard. Yeah.
I've not yet met one who's interested in marrying me. Not one.
I'd turn gay for a shake. Do you know what I mean?
I'd-
For that money,
For that money, for a
for
nice,
the lifestyle.
for a gold Lamborghini.
Yeah, and I'm
such
sure
a
he'd be
couple.
fine with me being straight behind closed doors. You know, he'd be like,
Do it
whatever suits you.
privately.
Yeah, just
Okay.
don't humiliate me in public. You know,
No, I get that.
no
right.
kissing women in public.
No holding hands.
Well, no, I don't want to get locked in prison.
That's a whole dangerous subject. That we should-
that is. Yeah. Game of Thrones. Let's talk Game of Thrones.
Is that going to be about as divisive as Brexit, though, isn't it?
Probably.
I can talk about the last. No spoilers. This is a
No, fuck
spoiler-free.
that. No, that's.
This is my spoiler-free review.
Alright.
Season 8 felt incredibly rushed.
Yeah.
It felt like they didn't linger on the big enough moments long enough.
No.
They didn't dedicate enough time to them, and they built up a lot of plot holes. And they've done this throughout the show, where they build up seeds for things, they plant
Yeah.
seeds for things, and then
And
completely
the
ignore
payoff
them.
was so quick, or there was no payoff.
But there was no payoff in
Yeah.
this season, where they continued to really, this is the main narrative, this is the thing, and then didn't
Nothing.
pay off at all.
No.
And it's a shame because seasons 1 to 7 didn't suffer from that.
No, 7
They
I would
didn't.
say a little bit.
Yeah, perhaps a touch, but
I mean, especially if you look back over the earlier seasons, the filler, not necessarily filler, but the build up to things we had to watch that really were insignificant to then miss out on key moments later on.
yeah, absolutely.
You do feel a little bit robbed, but I think in general, if I was to look at seasons 1 to 8, I can't complain. You know, it's probably been one of the best TV shows it's ever been. The cinematography, the acting, the production value, it's changed how TV is done. I mean, you now hear that Amazon are going to do a Lord of the Rings TV show that they're spending $1 billion on.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, and that's because of Game of Thrones. If Game of Thrones hadn't come around, that wouldn't have happened.
No, absolutely. It's changed the way television's done. It's moved audiences from cinema to TV.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's shown that TV is capable of the scope of film.
Absolutely, and you can dedicate 10 hours to something
Rather than just an hour and
2
a half
hours.
or 2 hours, yeah. Because let's face it, no one really likes going to the cinema and sitting in there for 4.5 hours.
No.
You do it, I mean, for like Endgame, for example, you sat in there for what, 3.5 hours?
Didn't feel like it though.
No,
I'm
but
a
you
big
didn't, but
fan,
you had 12 years of build up, so you were
Yeah.
like invested in that. So
Yeah.
you were like, fine, I'll sit and watch it for 3 hours or whatever.
I will say this though to anyone listening: if you've just started Game of Thrones and you're planning your theories in your head, and as seasons come, you'll change it a little bit and you'll swap it a little bit, throw them all away because
Doesn't
Dan
matter.
and Dave, Benioff and Weiss, the writers,
Fuckers!
have decided basically they don't want anyone to have guessed their show, despite the fact that they laid the seeds for you to guess it. They've decided they've dropped some seeds, they've turned around to see you picking them up, they're not happy with that, and they've done a complete
Basically,
basically
they came out and said they were upset that the fans had figured out too much about what was going to happen. So they thought, instead of paying it off and rewarding the fans for their loyalty and their willingness to pick up what was happening, they thought, no, do you know what? We're going to make a U-turn here and do something else. I mean, the show's still enjoyable and there's some amazing moments, and I would 100% recommend people to watch it, just because I want more people's reactions to it. But I mean, my reaction to it wasn't as angry as the end of How I Met Your Mother, for example. But
yeah, felt like a bit of a con.
Yeah,
did feel like a bit of a con.
Yeah, but at least what I would say is the writers to How I Met Your Mother knew that's where it was going from day one, and they stuck to it.
And they ended. I mean, they didn't just cut to black.
No.
Soprano style.
No,
I like that ending, and I'm a big fan of Sopranos.
I still
love
need to watch The Sopranos.
Love it. It's essentially like soap opera for mendy men.
Oh, right.
But it's great.
Nice.
Lots of killing.
I love that.
Lots of deception.
Yeah. Any sex?
Lots of sex.
Brilliant.
None with wives.
Whoa.
That kind of show. It's that kind of show.
Dirty stuff.
But I think that's probably enough covered
for today. Yeah, for our first pod. Right, well guys, thank you if you have made it through this far into it, which I hope you have.
But if you have, email us and I will come round to your house and high five you.
Yeah.
Or hug you.
We are selling high fives and hugs for views. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
To be honest, today was a bit of a struggle. We trialled the tech we had for the podcast and it's been a bit rough.
It's been horrendous.
It's been difficult.
It's made me feel like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, and we're going to keep working on it. So bear with us while the production quality improves.
And the content quality.
Speaking
of, if you have anything that you'd like us to discuss or cover, or you have any input to things that we're going to discuss and cover, please do tweet us.
Yeah. At Swords Crossing.
Just let us know what's going on.
And look for our Facebook page, Crossing Swords.
And let us know, because it's a big part of what we're aiming to do here is to be interactive and not just tell you what we want to talk about, but talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah,
and
we
talk
want
about
it to be fan-led discussion.
And we want fans.
Yeah, we need to get the fans first. So
we want those fans leading.
The sooner you become a fan, the better the quality gets.
Absolutely, invest now, and we will not do a Dan and Dave. We will reward you.
For your loyalty.
We will not fob you off.
No,
and
I mean, we might fob you off a little bit, but we'll try and pay off
as much as territory.
Yeah,
we're horrible people.
We like fobbing people.
It's good fun.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. See you soon.
Tune in. And watch this space.